Like, please imagine for just a second how thrilled I was to go down this rabbit hole that tattoos are good for mental health. Hey friends, it's your good friend Tim Campbell Smith, and today we are talking about how tattoos may be good for mental health. He says, as a heavily tattooed person who's really into mental health. Turns out tattoos can be good for mental health, but I've got to say, the more I learn about psychology, the more I learn about mental health, the longer I'm in school, the more I use, I call them like lighter, frou-frou phrases, like may be good for mental health, can be good for mental health, because we're going to talk about how tattoos can actually be a little bit of a problem for mental health. But we are really going to focus on actually how tattoos can improve, enhance, and contribute to positive mental health. Before we go too far, make sure you like and subscribe for all things mental health, business, photography, higher ed, and life. Okay, so I do actually want to start with ways that tattoos can actually be harmful to mental health or can set back mental health. There's a few different ways. First, people still may experience stigma around tattoos. I have been going down rabbit holes of research and reading different, especially academic journal articles on this. And a lot of the articles, when it talks about negative things around tattoos and mental health, talked about stigma, and in particular in the workplace, in medical settings, and in educational settings. And it's usually because of social perceptions, other people's perceptions of our tattoos. We're not here to comment on whether that's right or wrong, because on this channel we think that's wrong. It is about the fact that that stigma, that perception exists. You should know that that is a possibility, and that stigma, that social stigma, can cause harm. Next, tattoos can harm your mental health if they were a combination of impulsive and something that you regret. I have a couple tattoos that were absolutely impulse tattoos. I think of the Yoshi on my arm. That was just because I had time to kill, I had some extra money, and I wanted something fun. But I love Yoshi. Yoshi's my favorite Mario character. Also, Yoshi is the best Mario Kart character, and I will throw down and fight over this in the comments. So it's not a problem that that tattoo was impulsive. It's that if it was impulsive and it was something that I later regretted. Next, tattoos can be harmful to mental health if it's used to fix, or attempt to fix body image issues, or as a way to feel better about your body. If tattoos are the only way that you appreciate your body, that may be a problem. That may be a sign of some mental health difficulties. Next, tattoos can be problematic for mental health if it's associated with trauma, particularly trauma that hasn't been fully processed, or trauma that has to be communicated over and over again. So be careful with that. I'm not going to discourage any tattoos, except maybe tattoos that incite violence and hate, but I want you to use a little more caution when you're considering getting tattoos around trauma. But maybe not medical trauma. More on that in a bit. Finally, and this is worth noting, the other way that tattoos can cause problems for mental health is just the act of getting tattooed. If you don't feel safe with your tattoo artist, if your tattoo artist does something to make you feel unsafe or to question the tattoo, the process of getting tattooed itself can cause harm. That's usually in pretty extreme situations. That's usually when something is going wrong, but the process itself does have the potential of causing harm. Now, those are all the potential problems. Let's actually get into how tattoos can help with mental health and be a positive contributor to good mental health. At this point, I do have to make an important disclaimer, and I put it in my notes. I'm going to read it off my notes to make sure I get this right. This video is not encouraging you to get tattoos. This video is purely an educational presentation on the connection between tattoos and positive mental health. Always use your best judgment. Always consult your tattoo artist. Remember that tattoos are a very permanent addition to your body. So Keep that in mind before getting tattoos. I am not encouraging you to get tattoos. I just want you to know about the connections between tattoos and positive mental health. Reason number one why tattoos may improve mental health: it provides people a sense of control, of agency, of autonomy over their body. This is a big one for me. This is a reason why I do love my tattoos so much, is it gives me a sense of self and control over my body and my existence. There is a growing movement as well of this, of people taking ownership for their bodies, of what happens to their bodies, what they do to their bodies, the conversations about their bodies. And part of this, and related to this, this is also really helpful for people who have experienced medical crises or medical trauma when they get tattoos that interact with or cover medical scars. Next, tattoos are a fabulous way to remind us the importance of things in our lives. Tattoos are a fabulous snapshot into what is important to us at a specific place and time in our lives. So for example, I got this tattoo on my hand after it was my last corporate job before being employed full-time, self-employed full-time, and the job, actually, one of the managers I worked for was just awful. She hated tattoos and she mocked tattoos. And to work at that place, they said, you cannot have any tattoos on your hands, nothing visible on your neck, definitely nothing on your face. So as an act of rebellion is kind of why I got this on my hand. I also thought like a hand tattoo would just be so cool. And when I thought, like, what do I want on my hand? I was like, I want a reminder of, like, where to go in life and how enjoyable life may be. So that's why I got a compass rose, but I also got, like, this watercolor, like, paint splatter on it. And now it reminds me of that. And of that place and time. How magical a shift it was to go from being corporate employed, having to show up at a certain place at a certain time to do a job for someone else, and that movement into being self-employed. Next, tattoos are a fabulous way to form identity and for self-identification. Again, coming back to, I'm going to use the word reminder, to remind you of who you are, to state, this is who I am. Also, I was reading in articles, I know this is true for me and true for a lot of other people I know who are especially heavily tattooed. It can also be used in this way for reclaiming parts of identity. So I think of like Indigenous folks who are getting tattoos based on their Indigenous heritage and their culture and their past. I know people with addictions. I have a couple tattoos based off my addictions and surviving my addictions. So it kind of helps you like to reclaim yourself and to state, this is who I am. This is what my life has looked like. And it's a way of doing so kind of with pride. It's why, so I have this chest piece of a queen, because I was kind of sick and tired of ever getting made fun of for being flamboyant and queer. And I want to remind people that the queen is the strongest piece on the board. She is the most powerful, and she can create other queens who can be just as powerful and just as destructive. So I kind of got that to reclaim that part of me. Next, and this one just makes my heart sing. Tattoos are a great way to hold on to relationships. Current relationships gone.
I will say I don't think it's appropriate to get tattoos of partners' names, because I've only seen that go horribly wrong.
Maybe not of current romantic partnerships, but kids, pets, parents are usually safe bets. But using tattoos to hold on to relationships can be so beautiful. It's a way to remember them. It's a way to honor them. Next, tattoos can be really beneficial to your mental health in marking the changes of seasons and of times and passages in life. Most common ones being births, life, deaths, graduations, big life events. Next, tattoos can be a really powerful way of associating with a group so that there is a sense of belonging. We see this for tattoos for particularly survivors of trauma and of different traumas. I'm not going to name them specifically, but consider looking into the Medusa tattoo, the moth tattoo, the semicolon, which I have on my arm. It's covered by my sweater, but We see this for queer people, for people who have been incarcerated, for marginalized groups like Indigenous people. So it's a great way to build an association with a group and to feel a sense of belonging. And finally, I'm going to end with my favorite way that I think tattoos are really good for mental health. And this one is so out to lunch, but like, hear me out on this. I think tattoo shops, tattoo parlors, and tattoo artists, these are communal and community spaces. And that in and of itself is beautiful and wonderful and can be healing and reinforcing of good thing. I want you to look into a book, and I want to make sure I get this right. I will link it with the video below. Please note, it is currently offered as a free PDF. Make a donation. Make a donation to the author because they're offering it for free, but it is a full-on book that has been well-researched and well distributed. Donate to the author. The book is called Could This Be Magic? Tattooing as Liberation Work. The book, and this has been like this is actually what encouraged my rabbit hole of mental health and tattoos. The book highlights how tattooing is good for mental health, how tattoo artists provide care in unconventional ways, how they perform emotional labor. If you're heavily tattooed, please let me know if you've done this. I know I've made a joke where I say tattooing is actually cheaper than therapy because when I get tattooed, I'm getting a piece of art on my body. And I get therapy. Whereas when I go to my therapist, I'm not going to say I'm just getting therapy, but when I go to therapy, I'm not getting art on my body. There's a sliver of truth in that joke because tattoo artists are performing emotional labor when you talk to your artist, when you decompress with your artist. And it is very common that tattoo shops have communities and have people coming and going and are communal spaces. I've been going to my tattoo artist long enough and have seen her other clients come and go that like I recognize a few of them and I'm like, you! And I'm just always so happy to see them. And I'm happy to see whoever is in the shop. And I made a couple jokes sometimes if I just need like a place to work where it can kind of be quiet, but I can kind of talk to people once in a while, I might just want to go to my tattoo shop, sit on their big comfy bench and like work because it's a communal space that can be healing and joyous and full of magic. And those are some of the ways that tattoos can be really good for mental health. There's lots of different ways. And when thinking about how does tattooing contribute to mental health, consider planning for and the meaning behind the tattoo, the process of getting tattooed, the process of healing, some interesting metaphors there, and then how tattoos kind of influence the way that you navigate the world and you move about the world. All of this to say, there are lots of different things in life that can positively contribute to mental health, and tattoos can be one of them. Comment and let me know, did any of this surprise you or intrigue you? As always, make sure you like and subscribe for all things mental health, photography, business, and life. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye for now.